You wonder why the riches you dream of stay just out of reach. You speak the words, you repeat the affirmations, you visualize the luxury, yet your hands remain empty. And so you ask, why is it not working for me? You are trying to manifest wealth while feeling poor. You speak abundance with your lips, but your heart whispers lack. And this world, being only a mirror, reflects the whispers, not the words. The secret is not in what you want, but in what you assume to be true about yourself. If deep within you still identify as someone who is broke, limited, or unworthy, then no technique will bear fruit. Because all manifestation begins with state of being, not effort. That is the first mistake most make. They try to get money rather than be the one who already has it. When you feel the state of wealth, when you walk in the spirit of already having, the world rearranges to mirror that belief. Second, people think in terms of hope instead of certainty. They say, I wish, I hope, maybe one day. But the law does not respond to maybe. It responds to conviction. To the man or woman who says silently, it is done. Third, most people repeat affirmations without changing their inner conversations. It is not enough in us to say, I am rich 10 times a day, while secretly telling yourself, this is stupid, or this will never work. Your life always reflects what you whisper to yourself when no one is listening. Fourth, they look outside for validation. They watch the numbers, the signs, the evidence. But the law is spiritual, not statistical. You must walk by inner knowing, not outer appearance. Fifth, they lack persistence. They plant the seed and then dig it up in doubt. Manifestation is not a trick, it is a birth. And like any birth, it comes when the time is right if you do not disturb it. Sixth, they carry beliefs, they inherited beliefs like money is evil, or I'm not good with money. And so they unconsciously push away the very thing they ask for. You must cleanse the inner temple of every belief that contradicts abundance. Seventh, they confuse imagination with fantasy. True imagination is not idle daydreaming, it is feeling the reality of what is not yet seen. When you imagine correctly, you walk differently, speak differently, breathe differently, because in your world it is already done. And lastly, they forget to give thanks before it appears. Gratitude is not a reaction to what happens, it is evidence that you believe it already has. He who gives thanks in advance receives ahead of time. So, tonight go within. Forget what your senses show you. Assume the feeling of wealth. Live in the end. And know that if you remain loyal to that state, the world must yield. Not by chance, not by force, but by law. Because what you accept as true in your imagination, you will experience as fact in your life. You must begin not with the outer world, but with yourself. Before any change can appear in your bank account, in your home, in your circumstances, a change must take place in your concept of self. You may desire more money, more freedom, more abundance, but if you do not assume within that you are already the one who has it, then all your efforts will fall to the ground like seeds cast on stone. Understand this clearly. Every attempt to get money without first being the one who has it is a contradiction in consciousness. The mind that seeks from a place of not having is affirming the absence of what it desires. You may speak the words of abundance. You may chant affirmations of wealth. You may visualize stacks of cash or luxury homes. But if your inner state remains one of I don't have, then your reality will continue to echo that belief. You cannot escape this law. The outer world reflects your inner assumption. That which you deeply believe about yourself, not what you say, not what you hope, but what you feel to be true, that is what materializes. Most people go through life trying to manipulate conditions. They work longer hours, chase new opportunities, attend endless seminars, and hustle from one strategy to the next. Yet their inner conversation is unchanged. At the core of their being, they still feel like someone who is struggling to make ends meet. They still feel like someone reaching out for money, rather than someone who walks in the calm knowing that supply is already theirs. And so, despite all their effort, nothing moves. They run on the treadmill of doing, without ever arriving at the destination of being. The world outside cannot change unless the self inside is first transformed. The secret lies not in trying harder, but in accepting a new identity. The key is not to wish for money, but to become the one who already has it. Not in arrogance, not in fantasy, but in quiet internal conviction. You must begin to say within yourself, I am wealthy, I am supported, I am the one who has. And you must persist in that assumption, even when the bank balance suggests otherwise, even when bills are due, even when appearances seem to deny it. Because the law responds not to appearances, but to your inner state of belief. When you try to manifest from the state of lack, you are praying in reverse. You are impressing the subconscious with the idea that you do not yet have what you desire. You are reinforcing the separation between yourself and the money you seek. That state becomes your reality, and you repeat the cycle again and end: desire, effort, disappointment. But when you begin from the end, when you begin by assuming that your desire is already fulfilled, then the subconscious accepts it as fact, and the world begins to reshape itself accordingly. It is not magic, it is law. Think of it like this: the subconscious does not know the difference between a fact and a vividly imagined state. It simply receives impressions and brings them forth in the world of form. If you persistently feel poor, even while doing all the right things, your world will continue to reflect poverty. But if you can dwell in the feeling of wealth, if you can feel that you are already financially secure, that life supports you, that you are free, then that feeling becomes your reality. But this requires discipline. This requires a willingness to turn away from the five senses and walk in the invisible. It requires you to anchor yourself in an inner knowing that contradicts outer facts. It requires you to feel rich, even when the outer world gives you no evidence of richness. And that is where most people fail, not because the law does not work, but because they abandon the state too soon. They allow doubt to creep in. They let circumstances dictate their belief. They look for signs, for proof, for results. And when they don't appear immediately, they return to the old state of I don't have, not realizing that the very act of looking for the manifestation implies that they are still not living from it. This is why imagination must be practiced as a discipline. You must train yourself to feel the state of financial abundance as if it were already here. You must rehearse that feeling as often and as vividly as possible until it becomes your dwelling place. And from that dwelling place, everything changes. The world begins to show you reflections of your new self. You start to receive ideas, nudges, connections, and opportunities that align with your assumption. It seems miraculous to those who watch from the outside, but to you, it is simply confirmation of what you already knew. The change always begins within. It begins with the decision to assume a new identity, not by force, but by feeling. The feeling of being wealthy must become more real to you than any temporary circumstance. The inner must be believed before the outer can change. You do not become rich by struggling for money. You become rich by knowing you already are, and then allowing that knowing to materialize in its own perfect way. You will be moved by unseen hands, inspired from within, guided by invisible currents. You will find yourself taking actions not out of desperation, but out of inspiration. And everything you touch will begin to prosper, not because you worked harder, but because you became different. Your world, your conditions, your finances, they are not the cause of your state, they are the result of it. If you wish to change the result, go to the root. Change the self that you assume yourself to be. And from that change, everything else will follow. You cannot bring to pass anything in life while holding on to a spirit of doubt. That which you claim to desire will not come into form if it is only entertained as a wish, a hope, or a distant possibility. The law does not respond to your words, it responds to your conviction. The creative power within you listens not to what you say, but to what you are conscious of being. To say, I hope this happens, is to say, I do not yet possess it. And the law gives you according to your belief. Most people unknowingly pray from a place of separation. They believe that what they want is far away, beyond their current reach, locked behind effort, struggle, or time. And so they speak their desires like someone on the outside, knocking on the door of abundance, rather than like someone who lives inside the house. The door is never locked, but the key is always the feeling of being the one who already has what is asked for. You must see clearly that hope is not creative. Hope belongs to the realm of uncertainty. It is passive, it waits, it looks to the future. But imagination is now, creation is now. And faith, the kind that moves reality, is the deep inner knowing that something is already yours, even before your eyes can see it. So many fail because they never move beyond the state of hoping. They read books, listen to teachers, write down goals, say affirmations, but always with a whisper underneath. I hope this works. That whisper is the poison. That inner uncertainty keeps the manifestation from flowering. For as long as you hope, you admit that what you desire is not yet yours. And as long as you admit that, the world agrees with you. Creation does not wait for proof. It demands conviction without evidence. If you wait to feel secure until money shows up, you have reversed the order. The appearance of wealth does not create the feeling of abundance. The feeling of abundance creates the appearance of wealth. That is the law. To create anything, you must adopt the end. You must dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled, not long for it. Not wish to one day reach it, but move into it in consciousness. Take possession of it mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Make it familiar. Make it your dwelling place. Feel now how you would feel if it were true, and refuse to mentally step outside of that feeling. If you do this faithfully, without wavering, the outer world must conform. But if you drift back into hoping, if you return to the question, when will it happen? You have left the state, and your manifestation delays itself once more. You must walk with certainty. That is not arrogance. That is alignment. To be certain is to align yourself with the truth of your desire. When the inner man walks in fulfillment, the outer world cannot resist him. The path, the opportunity, the supply, it must come, not by force, but by reflection. The creative power within you accepts only what you accept as real. So you must be vigilant with your inner conversations. Never again say, I hope to have money. Say instead, it is done. Say it silently. Say it in your feeling. Say it when the bank account says otherwise. Say it when no evidence supports it. For it is not the evidence that leads, it is the feeling. It is the feeling that leads the evidence. Learn to close your eyes and hear the voice that congratulates you. Hear someone you love say, you did it. You're free now. See the message on your phone that confirms the payment. Feel the emotions that come with financial peace, the relief, the security, the joy. And rest there. That state is the seed. Do not disturb it with doubt. Every time you say, I hope, you postpone the harvest. Every time you ask, is it working yet? You uproot the seed and delay the growth. Creation is not impatient. It is precise. You must trust the unseen. You must be still enough to feel the truth before the world shows it to you. That stillness, that inner confidence, that is the secret doorway through which all things enter your life. No great change begins on the outside. It begins in silence, in imagination, in the quiet moment where you dare to say within, this is already mine. And then you rise, not hoping but knowing. And from that knowing, your behavior changes. You carry yourself differently. You speak differently. You give thanks, not because something arrived, but because you have already received it in the only place that matters, your own consciousness. There is no power greater than inner conviction. It is not louder than the world. It is not louder than fear. But it is steady. It does not shake. And in time, everything must bow to it. The world will reflect the image you hold of yourself, not sometimes, not maybe, but always. So cast off the garment of hoping. Stop reaching for the future. Withdraw attention from the outer facts and place your focus on what is real within. The real world is invisible. And what you accept there will be born here. You are not waiting for money. You are waiting to become the one who no longer waits. And you can do that now, not by striving, not by wishing, but by assuming. Assume it boldly. Assume it faithfully. Assume it in silence and in stillness. And from that assumption, let all things flow. The world you experience with your five senses is not the cause of your life. It is the result. It is the mirror, not the light. All that you see, touch, hear, and hold is simply the echo of a deeper movement, a reflection of the state you occupy within. If you wish to change what is outside, you must first change what is within. The world only confirms what you assume to be true about yourself. There is no one to change but self. No one to persuade, no condition to fix, no circumstance to overcome. Every outer challenge is but a shadow cast by the self-image you have accepted. Most try to rearrange the world without touching the root. They work harder, speak louder, chase opportunities, or force results. But until the inner concept is altered, the outer picture remains. It may shift in detail, but never in essence. When you accept yourself as poor, even if money arrives, it slips away. When you believe yourself to be overlooked, even success feels fleeting. The inner concept governs all. You cannot rise beyond the state you occupy in imagination. You cannot hold in your hand what you have rejected in your heart. The mind is the cause, the body and the bank account only the effect. You must then begin by examining your self-concept, not what you say you believe, but what you truly feel when you are alone in silence, when the world is no longer distracting you. What image do you hold of yourself when you think of wealth? Do you feel unworthy of it? Do you see it as distant, foreign, reserved for others? Or do you feel that it is natural, familiar, inevitable? This feeling, this unseen image is your mold. The world must pour itself into it, not because of magic, but because of law. You live not in the world, but in your assumption of the world. And the world obediently reflects the posture you hold inside. To change your self-concept, you must first become aware of it. Most live in it blindly, never questioning the inner dialogue that plays like music beneath their actions. They may desire abundance, but inwardly, they repeat stories of failure, memories of lack, or voices of others who once told them they were not enough. These impressions sink deep, and unless they are replaced, they become the silent architects of a repeated life. Imagination is the tool by which this concept is remade. By entering into a new self in imagination, by seeing through the eyes of one who already has what you desire, you begin to dissolve the old image and create the new. This is not fantasy. This is creative realism. What you feel as true within will harden into fact. You are always becoming what you assume yourself to be. It begins in stillness. Sit quietly, not to beg for change, but to assume the change has already occurred. Ask yourself, if I were now the one I wish to be, how would I feel? And then dwell in that feeling. Play with it like a child plays with rolls, sincerely, wholeheartedly. Imagine how you would speak, how you would look at the world if your financial reality were already transformed. Then let that feeling saturate your mind until it becomes more real to you than the evidence of your senses. Persistence is key. The new self must be claimed again and again until it becomes your natural dwelling. The world will try to contradict you, not to harm you, but to test your loyalty to the new image. You may hear news that seems to challenge your assumption, or meet people who question your new identity. But these are only remnants of the old state, fading echoes of a self you no longer accept. Remain faithful. Do not return to the former image out of habit. Do not define yourself by what has been. The new self, once embraced, will draw to it new conditions, new relationships, new experiences that match its nature. The world reorganizes itself around your self-concept like water shaping around a vessel. What you must understand is that your concept of self is not fixed. It is clay. You are free to mold it. And in doing so, you mold the events of your life. Nothing is outside of this. Every promotion, every opportunity, every check in the mail, every chance encounter, all that springs from the image you carry of who you are and what you deserve. And this change does not take time, it takes belief. Time is only the measure of your inner resistance. The moment you fully accept the new self, your world begins to move. The speed of the change depends on the depth of your conviction. So start now. Look not to the world for permission. Go within. Claim the new image. Speak to yourself from the end. Say quietly, I am the one who has. I am the one who is blessed. I am the one who always receives. And then watch as the outer scene begins to shift. The world is clay, and the hands that mold it are invisible. Those hands are your assumptions. The world cannot help but take the shape of the self you have accepted. And when you finally see this, when you live from this truth, you stop struggling, stop begging, stop waiting. You begin to live from a place of knowing. That knowing is your power. That knowing is what creates. And that knowing is born the moment you decide to no longer see yourself as limited, as small as someone trying to get there. You are already there. Walk as if you were. Think as if you were. Give thanks as if it had already happened. And soon the world will echo back the truth you dare to claim within. There is a law that governs every creation in this world. It is silent yet absolute. It never fails, and it never sleeps. This law responds not to the cries of desperation, not to the noise of outer action, but only to the feeling that you accept as true. If you do not feel rich within, you cannot become rich without. If you do not possess wealth in consciousness, it can never appear in your experience, not truly, not lastingly. Many people wonder why their visualizations do not work, why their affirmations feel empty, or why the money they long for never arrives. They may put in the effort, the repetition, the hours of mental rehearsal, but underneath it all, they remain in a state of poverty within. And as long as the inner world is one of lack, the outer world must remain the same. The law cannot contradict itself. You see, what you feel to be true becomes your reality. Not what you wish were true, not what you force yourself to say 100 times a day, but what you inwardly accept as natural and real. The mind, when undisturbed, always returns to its base feeling, and for most, that base is one of unworthiness, lack, and fear. So even if they speak words of prosperity, the inner tone, the feeling beneath the words is still lack. If one is to manifest money, one must first possess the feeling of wealth. That feeling is the cause, the blueprint, the source of every dollar that will come. Money is not something separate from you, it is a reflection of the state you live in. And you always live in some state. The question is it the state of wealth, or is it still the state of longing for wealth? Longing and having are two different realities. One speaks of separation, the other speaks of fulfillment. One looks outward with desire, the other looks inward with thanksgiving. And this is where the secret lies, not in effort, but in alignment. Not in doing more, but in being more. You must become the one who already has, before the world will show you the evidence. This is why it is not enough to repeat statements. The power is not in the words, but in the feeling the words create. A man can say, "I am wealthy," 1,000 times and remain poor, because his feeling contradicts his statement. But another can say it once with full inner conviction, and watch the world reorganize itself to reflect that truth. It is not about how often you say it. It is about whether you believe it. The feeling of wealth is not found in the presence of money. It is found in the absence of resistance. It is a state of quiet confidence, a sense of sufficiency, a deep inner knowing that everything needed is already prepared. It does not argue with facts. It does not fight with appearances. It rests. It accepts. It gives thanks for what is unseen. To dwell in this state, you must withdraw attention from the senses. You must step away from the habit of judging by what is, and begin judging by what is within. The inner world must become more real to you than the outer. That is the only way the outer will change. For what is seen is always a reflection of what is felt. And when you change the feeling, the seen must follow. Take time each day to enter the state of wealth. Not by counting money, but by feeling the condition of already being provided for. How would you walk if everything you needed was already yours? How would you speak? How would you sleep? These are not idle questions, they are the doorway to a new life. Let the answers guide you into the state, and from that state live your days. Do not wait for money to appear to feel secure. Feel secure, and the money will appear. Do not wait for evidence to feel confident. Feel confident, and the evidence will come. The world reflects your assumption. An assumption is nothing but the feeling of reality made inwardly alive. There is no need to beg, to plead, or to force. Creation does not work through effort, it works through embodiment. You must embody the state of wealth. You must make it your home. When the mind wanders, gently bring it back to that state. When doubt arises, do not fight it. Simply return to the feeling. Again and again return. And in time, the feeling becomes familiar. It becomes your dwelling place. And from that dwelling place, all things begin to move. Opportunities arise. Conversations shift. Doors open. But these are not the cause, they are the echo. The true cause is invisible. It is the inner movement of assumption. The moment you feel it real, it begins. So trust the feeling more than the facts. Trust the unseen more than the seen. Do not let appearances deceive you. They are only shadows. The substance is within. And when the substance changes, the shadows follow. Speak to yourself in the language of fulfillment. Not of wanting, but of having. Not of hoping, but of knowing. Let the feeling of already done become the song of your heart. And when you walk in that rhythm, the world will sing it back to you. This is the law. You cannot receive what you do not feel to be yours. But the moment you feel it is already yours, the moment you rest in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are no longer a seeker, you are a possessor. And all that belongs to that state must now be added unto you. What you are experiencing now is simply the result of what you have believed to be true in the past. Everything around you, every event, every condition, every relationship, is but a reflection of the thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions you have held. And in this moment, you are being given the opportunity to transform your life by changing the only thing that truly matters, your perception of who you are and what you deserve. The outer world is not the cause of your life. It is the effect. The cause lies within. You cannot control the outer world, but you can control the inner world, and the inner world will inevitably change the outer world. The inner world is where creation takes place. It is where all power lies. You do not need to change the world, you need to change yourself. And in that change, the world will be rearranged to reflect your new self. The most powerful tool you possess is your ability to imagine. Imagination is the gateway to creation. It is through imagination that you shape your future, not through hard work, not through effort, but through the ability to feel and experience the reality you wish to create right now in your mind. The mind is not passive. It is not a blank slate. It is actively creating every moment, shaping your world according to the assumptions you hold. When you wish to manifest anything in your life, whether it be money, success, health, or happiness, you must first ask yourself, what do I believe about this thing? What do I feel about it? If you feel that it is far away, that it is difficult to attain, that it belongs to others and not to you, then that is what you will experience. Your feelings are your inner compass. They point to what you truly believe to be possible, to be real, to be yours. This is why many fail at manifesting what they want. They do not believe it is possible for them to have it. They think that success or wealth is something reserved for a select few, or that they must work hard to achieve it. But the truth is that success, wealth, and all good things are simply states of mind. They are not outside of you. They are not something you must strive for. They are already within you, waiting to be realized. The only thing standing between you and your desires is your belief that they are not already yours. To manifest something, you must begin with the assumption that it is already done. You must assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. If you desire wealth, do not focus on what you do not have. Instead, focus on the feeling of already being wealthy. Imagine what it would feel like to be financially free. Imagine how you would think, how you would act, how you would carry yourself. Feel the emotions that would accompany that freedom, the peace, the security, the joy. And do not stop imagining until that feeling is so real to you that it feels natural, that it feels like it is already a part of you. This is not wishful thinking. This is the law of creation in action. The mind does not know the difference between what is imagined and what is real. It reacts to the feelings you provide it, regardless of whether those feelings are based on actual experience or on imagined scenarios. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are setting the creative process in motion. The world must reflect what you believe to be true. The key to success in manifesting is consistency. You must persist in the assumption of the desired state, regardless of the external circumstances. If you continue to feel and imagine that you are already living the life you desire, your external world must eventually conform to this new state. The only thing that will stop you is doubt. Doubt is the only force that can slow the creative process. When you doubt, you resist the flow of creation. When you believe, you align with it. Many people struggle with manifesting because they do not persist in the assumption. They may feel the joy of the wish fulfilled for a moment, But when external evidence does not immediately match their internal state, they abandon the feeling and return to their old beliefs. This is why manifestation often seems slow or elusive to them. The key is to stay with the feeling. Never waver in your assumption. Trust that the law is working in your favor, even when you cannot yet see the evidence of it. The law does not work through time, it works through belief. Time only gives the appearance of delay. The moment you assume the state of having what you want, the creative process begins, and the world begins to shift to match your inner reality. You may not see the results immediately, but know this: the moment you assume, the change begins. The results are only a matter of time. The more you persist in your assumption, the more the outer world begins to reflect it. You do not need to force anything to happen. You simply need to maintain your assumption. Trust the process. Trust the law. As you persist in this state of assumption, you will begin to notice subtle changes. Opportunities will arise. People will show up. Ideas will come to you. These are the signs that your assumption is taking root. The world is rearranging itself to match your inner state. And as you continue to feel the reality of your desire, you will see the manifestation of it in the physical world. Remember, everything you desire is already within you. It is not something you need to chase or strive for. It is simply a matter of aligning your inner world with the outer world you wish to create. The law of creation is always at work, whether you are aware of it or not. By assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are activating this law and setting the stage for the manifestation of your desires. Every moment of your life is being shaped by the assumptions you hold about yourself, your world, and your future. If you are to manifest the life you desire, you must first understand that what you see in the world around you is simply a mirror reflecting the inner state you hold. The external world is never the cause of your experiences, it is always the effect. The source of all creation is within you, in the thoughts you think, the beliefs you hold, and the images you entertain in your mind. If you wish to transform your life, you must begin with the transformation of your inner world. Most people move through life reacting to the conditions around them. They look at their current circumstances and believe that these conditions define who they are, what they can have, and what they can achieve. They believe that the outer world dictates their possibilities. But this is not the truth. The truth is that the outer world reflects the inner world, and the inner world is where true change occurs. To understand this, we must recognize that the mind is not simply a passive receiver of information. It is a creative force. It does not just process the world, it creates it. The mind responds to the images, assumptions, and beliefs that are impressed upon it. These impressions form the foundation of your experience. What you assume to be true about yourself, your life, and your world becomes the reality you live. The key to manifesting anything you desire is to change the assumptions you hold about yourself. If you want to manifest wealth, health, love, or success, you must first adopt the assumption that these things are already yours. You must no longer think of them as things you are striving to attain, but as things you already possess. The key to manifesting is not to beg for what you want, but to feel as if you already have it, to live from the end, not from the beginning. You must ask yourself, what would my life look like if I were already living in the abundance I desire? And then you must embody that life. Feel the joy, the peace, the security, and the freedom that comes with it. Live as though you are already living in that state. You must live from the end result of your desire, not from the lack of it. This is the essential step in the process of manifestation, to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. It is important to realize that what you imagine to be true in your inner world must be real to you. The key to successful manifestation is not the intellectual knowledge of the law, but the emotional experience of it. When you imagine, do not simply create an image in your mind. Create a feeling, a deep emotional experience. Feel the joy, the relief, the satisfaction of having what you desire. The feeling is what gives the thought its power. The world responds to the state of being you occupy in your mind. If you feel yourself to be poor, struggling, or unworthy, then your world will reflect that. If you feel that you are deserving of abundance, that you are already wealthy, that you are already healthy and whole, the world will reflect that as well. The law is impartial. It does not judge you, it simply reflects what you believe to be true about yourself. The mind does not know the difference between what is imagined and what is real. It reacts to the feelings you impress upon it, regardless of whether they are based on actual experience or imagined scenarios. This is why it is so important to practice living from the end result. The more real the experience feels to you, the more quickly it will materialize in your outer world. However, many people find it difficult to maintain this feeling, especially when external circumstances seem to contradict it. They may feel that their current situation is too far removed from the reality they wish to create. But this is where the power of assumption comes in. You do not need to see the evidence in the physical world right away. In fact, the evidence is often the last thing to show up. The physical world is merely a reflection of the inner state, and it takes time for the inner changes to be mirrored in the outer world. The key is to stay true to your assumption, even in the face of contradictory evidence. The moment you waver, the moment you begin to doubt or question the validity of your assumption, you stop the creative process. But when you persist in the assumption of the desired state, the world must shift to reflect it. It may take time, but it will happen. The law is as certain as the law of gravity. What you assume, you will experience. This is why persistence is so important. You must continue to live from the end result, to embody the feeling of the wish fulfilled, until it becomes your natural state. As you do, the world around you begins to change. Opportunities begin to appear. People begin to show up. Events begin to unfold in ways that align with your inner assumption. And one day you will wake up to find that your outer world has shifted to match the inner world you have created. The law does not work through force or struggle. It works through alignment. When you align your inner world with the outer world you desire, you will begin to see the manifestation of your desires. And the more you experience this process, the more you will come to understand that you are the creator of your reality, that everything in your life is the result of your thoughts, your beliefs, and your assumptions. The world is a mirror. It reflects back to you the state you occupy. If you want to change your life, you must change your inner world. You must change the way you see yourself and the way you see the world. The moment you do this, the world will change with you. Your life will transform, and the things you desire will begin to flow into your experience with ease and grace. This is the power you have. The power to create your life through the thoughts and feelings you choose to entertain. You must first realize that your life is not determined by external forces or circumstances. The outer world, with all its appearances, is but a mirror reflecting the inner world. Your experiences, your relationships, your successes and failures, they are all a direct result of the thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions you hold about yourself and your world. The law of creation is simple. As within, so without. If you wish to change your life, you must first change your inner world. At this very moment, you are creating your future through the thoughts you think and the feelings you experience. It is not the world around you that dictates your life. It is your inner world that shapes the outer reality. The key to understanding this is to realize that the mind is not merely a passive observer. It is an active creator. Your thoughts are not just idle mental chatter, they are powerful forces shaping the world around you. Every thought you think sends out a vibration into the world, a signal that the universe responds to. This vibration attracts experiences, people, and circumstances that match the frequency of your thoughts. When you think thoughts of lack, of limitation, of fear or doubt, the universe must mirror that back to you. When you think thoughts of abundance, of possibility, of love and joy, the universe must mirror that back to you as well. This is the law in action. Your world reflects your inner state. This is why so many people struggle with manifesting the things they desire. They look at their external circumstances and believe that these circumstances are the cause of their reality. They think that their problems, their limitations, and their lack of resources are the things preventing them from living the life they want. But the truth is, these external conditions are simply effects. They are the results of the assumptions, beliefs, and thoughts you have been holding on to. To manifest your desires, you must first understand that your circumstances are not the cause of your life. Your thoughts are. If you wish to change your life, you must begin with changing your thoughts. You must stop focusing on the lack of what you want and begin to focus on the reality of having it. You must stop seeing yourself as someone who is waiting for something to happen and begin to see yourself as someone who already has what they desire. This is where the power of assumption comes in. The moment you assume that you already have what you desire, you align your inner state with the reality of your wish fulfilled. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are no longer waiting for something to happen. You are already living as if it has happened. This assumption must be embraced fully. Do not think of your desire as something distant, something to be attained in the future. Think of it as something that is already yours. Feel the emotions that would come with already having it. Feel the joy, the peace, the satisfaction, the freedom. The more real this feeling becomes to you, the more quickly the outer world will begin to reflect it. When you persist in this assumption, you are sending a powerful signal to the universe. The universe must respond to this signal by rearranging the events of your life to match your inner state. You may not see the evidence of your desire immediately, but that does not mean it is not happening. The law of creation is always at work. The physical world is simply slower to respond to the inner changes than the mind itself. But trust that every assumption you make, every thought you think is setting the creative process in motion. The outer world must eventually catch up to your inner world. One of the greatest obstacles people face when trying to manifest their desires is doubt. Doubt is the enemy of creation. When you doubt the process, when you doubt your ability to manifest, you stop the flow of creation. Doubt sends out a different vibration, one that is in conflict with the vibration of your assumption. And as a result, your desire is delayed. To manifest your dreams, you must remove doubt from your consciousness. You must trust in the power of your mind, trust in the process, and trust that your assumptions will be fulfilled. The key to overcoming doubt is to remain persistent in your assumption. Even when external circumstances appear to contradict your inner state, continue to feel and live as if your desire is already a reality. It is important to understand that the outer world is simply a reflection of what is happening inside you. When you persist in the assumption of your desire, you are not waiting for the world to change. You are the one who must change first. The world will reflect the changes you make within. The more you practice this, the more you will begin to see the results. Opportunities will begin to present themselves. People will begin to show up in your life who align with your new assumption. Events will unfold that support your desired outcome. And as you continue to feel and live from the state of the wish fulfilled, you will see the manifestation of your desires come to fruition. The power of assumption is not just about thinking positive thoughts or having wishful thinking. It is about fully embracing the state of the wish fulfilled. It is about feeling, thinking, and acting as if your desires are already a part of your reality. This requires commitment, persistence, and faith in the unseen. You must be willing to live in the assumption of your desire, even when there is no immediate evidence to support it. The evidence will come, but it will come after you have fully embraced the state of the wish fulfilled. The universe is a mirror that reflects back to you the thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions you hold. If you want to change your life, you must change your inner world. By assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are aligning your inner state with the reality you wish to create. The outer world will follow suit, and your desires will manifest in ways that you cannot yet imagine. As you begin to see this law in action, you will realize that you are the creator of your own reality. You are not a passive observer of life. You are an active participant in the creation of your world. The power to change your life lies within you. And the moment you embrace this power, the moment you begin to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, your life will transform in ways that you cannot even begin to comprehend. At the heart of all creation lies the immense power of your mind. What you see around you, the people, the events, the circumstances, is not an accident, nor is it the result of random happenings. Everything you experience is shaped by your own inner state. The outer world is merely a reflection of your inner beliefs, assumptions, and thoughts. If you want to change your reality, the only place to begin is within yourself. It is within your thoughts, your feelings, and your assumptions that the seeds of creation are planted. And it is in these inner worlds that your future is formed. We are often taught to believe that we are victims of the world, that the circumstances we find ourselves in are out of our control. We believe that we must react to the world around us, that we must wait for things to change before we can change. But this is not the truth. The truth is that you are the creator of your world. You are not a passive participant in your life. You are an active creator, shaping the events of your life through the thoughts you think, the feelings you hold, and the assumptions you make. To understand this, you must first acknowledge that everything in your life, every situation, every person, every experience began with a thought. The world around you is shaped by the thoughts you have chosen to hold and believe. Your thoughts are not just abstract concepts, they are powerful forces that shape your experience of life. The thoughts you think today will determine the reality you live tomorrow. The key to transforming your life, therefore, lies in transforming your thoughts. The power to create your reality is not found in trying to control the external world. It is found in aligning your inner world with the reality you wish to experience. If you want to manifest abundance, health, love, or success, you must first see yourself as already possessing these things. You must assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You must live as though what you desire is already part of your life. This assumption, this inner conviction, is the key to unlocking the creative power of your mind. But how do you shift your inner world to align with the reality you wish to create? The first step is to consciously choose the thoughts you think. Most people are unaware of the thoughts they entertain. They allow the mind to wander, reacting to the external world and the conditions around them. They think thoughts of lack, of limitation, and of fear, and these thoughts create a life that reflects these negative states. If you wish to manifest your desires, you must begin by consciously choosing thoughts that align with your goals. Start by imagining the life you wish to create. What does it look like? What does it feel like? Imagine yourself living in abundance, in perfect health, in loving relationships. See yourself achieving the success you desire. Do not simply think of these things as distant goals to be reached in the future. See them as present realities. Feel the emotions of having already achieved them. Experience the joy, the satisfaction, the peace, and the gratitude that would come with living the life you desire. The more vividly and emotionally you can experience this imagined reality, the more powerful your thoughts will become. The key to manifestation lies not in the action you take, but in the feeling you generate. It is not enough to think about what you want, you must feel the emotions associated with it. When you feel the emotion of having what you desire, you align your inner state with the reality of your wish fulfilled. This emotional alignment sends out a powerful vibration into the universe, and the universe must respond by bringing you the circumstances, opportunities, and people that match this vibration. However, it is important to understand that the outer world will not immediately reflect your inner state. The process of manifestation takes time. The physical world is a reflection of the inner world, but it does not always shift immediately to match your new assumptions. This is where persistence and faith come into play. You must continue to live in the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled, even when there is no external evidence to support it. The key is to stay true to your inner state, to continue feeling as though your wish is already fulfilled, regardless of what the outer world may show you. The moment you doubt, the moment you question your assumption, you slow down the creative process. The process of manifestation is not about forcing or striving. It is about alignment. When you align your inner state with the state of your desire, you will naturally attract the people, opportunities, and circumstances that are in harmony with your new vibration. The world around you will begin to shift, reflecting the changes you have made within. This is the beauty of the law. It works effortlessly as long as you remain in alignment with your desire. If you are new to this process, it may feel challenging to maintain the assumption of the wish fulfilled. You may be tempted to fall back into old thought patterns or to focus on the external circumstances that seem to contradict your desires. But the key is to persist. The more you practice living from the end result, the more natural it will feel. As you continue to imagine your desires as already fulfilled, you will begin to notice subtle changes in your life. The people around you will start to respond differently. Opportunities will arise that you never thought possible. The universe will begin to rearrange itself to reflect your inner state. One of the most powerful aspects of this process is the ability to manifest things that seem impossible. The mind does not differentiate between what is possible and what is impossible. To the mind, all thoughts are equally real. If you believe something is impossible, that belief will shape your experience. But if you believe that anything is possible, that belief will also shape your experience. The power of your imagination is limitless. The only limit to what you create is the limit you place on your own mind. By consciously choosing your thoughts, you can begin to manifest anything you desire. The process is simple, but it requires commitment and faith. You must trust that the world will reflect the changes you are making within yourself. You must trust that your thoughts and feelings are shaping your reality, even when the evidence is not yet visible. This is the essence of creation. The world reflects your inner state, and your inner state is shaped by the thoughts and beliefs you hold. In this process, you are not just hoping for change, you are actively creating it. Every thought, every assumption, and every feeling you have is shaping your future. The power lies within you to create the life you desire. The more you practice this, the more you will realize that you are the master of your destiny. The world is yours to shape. The moment you take control of your inner world, the outer world will begin to reflect your new reality. The journey to manifesting your desires is not about waiting for the world to change or looking for external circumstances to align first. It is about understanding and embracing the powerful law of creation that lies within you. The outer world is merely a reflection of your inner thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions. By consciously choosing to shift your inner state, you align with the reality you wish to create. The key is not to focus on the lack of what you want, but to live as though your desires are already fulfilled. The power of assumption and imagination, when combined with persistence and faith, will lead to the manifestation of your desires. You must trust in your ability to create, remain consistent in your beliefs, and align your thoughts and emotions with the reality you wish to experience. It is not enough to simply think positively. You must feel deeply the emotions of having already achieved your desires. By doing so, you send a powerful vibration out into the universe, drawing to you the people, circumstances, and opportunities that match this vibration. As you continue to live from this inner state of fulfillment, you will see your outer world transform in ways that reflect your new assumptions. Ultimately, the power to create the life you desire lies within you. The universe is responding to the energy you are putting out, and as you align yourself with your desires, you will see the world around you rearrange itself to match your new reality. The process is simple, yet profound. Change your inner world, and the outer world must follow. Trust in your creative power, remain consistent, and watch as your desires manifest into your life.